So let's just get into this. With the recent harassment of Kyrie Irving by the white supremacists who practice Judaism, I finally said I'm going to talk about something that I've wanted to talk about for a long time: the anti black racism of white Jews. Now, this is a tricky subject because white supremacists have successfully used the Jewish religion as a way to hide themselves from scrutiny from others. So, in the 1930s, there was a group of white people in Europe who were going bankrupt. They had engaged in a white on white crime war about 2 decades ago and lost, and now they needed money. So they decided to do what their ancestors, the Germanic tribes that are sometimes referred to as barbarians, had always done in the past. They were going to just invade places, rape, torture, and murder the people there, and then rob them. Standard European stuff. So they picked a convenient piece of land right next to theirs, Poland. In order to justify their upcoming criminal act, they started to demonize the white people in Poland. They then invaded and proceeded to kill and rob these people. It was a horrific white on white crime that we have all heard about. It's called World War II. Even though it didn't involve the whole world, but I guess only Europe counts as the world in the minds of white people. But, anyways, the victims of this attack on Poland went on to become a well protected group globally. As a result, you now have white supremacists who, after doing horrible, demonic, racist, and disgusting things, can easily just hide behind this group and declare that they can't be attacked or criticized for doing the horrible things that they've done because they belong to this protected group. It's a really deceitful trick. And that brings us back to this whole Kyrie Irving situation. Kyrie Irving presumably watched a documentary that he thought had some interesting points. He then shared a link to the film he just watched on social media. According to the white supremacists who practice Judaism, this was the worst thing imaginable. Sharing a video that discusses how blacks are really involved in certain religions is so horrible that the white supremacists who practice Judaism need to use their power and money to systematically destroy Kyrie. Seriously? It's so funny because when black people demand reparations for centuries of rape, torture, sodomy, enslavement, and murder, the white supremacists who practice Judaism say we're asking for too much. But when a sports star shares a link to a documentary, the white supremacists who practice Judaism force him to pay $500,000 in reparations to them. That's white supremacy, and that's the power that the white supremacists who practice Judaism have over everyone on this planet. Anyone at this point who denies that white Jews are in control of this planet and that they have the power and money to control us all is an idiot. This is pure power. Kyrie posted a link, and overnight, every single entertainer, newscaster, artist, or anyone with a big platform rallied to destroy this one man. When Tamir Rice, the 12-year-old child who was playing in a park with a toy, was executed and the murderer wasn't punished, there was no outcry at all from the groups that I just mentioned. Nothing. So why did they rally now? And why did they rally so fast? It's because the white supremacists who practice Judaism control all of them and they directed them to do it. Now that's power.
Now you're playing with power, superpower.
So, since the white supremacists who practice Judaism have such an easy time demonizing black people just for being black, I figured I'd take out some time to go over the anti black racism that's constantly being thrown at us from the white Jewish community. In 2014, Peter Chernin, a white Jew, produced, promoted, and released a movie called Exodus: Gods and Kings. In this white supremacist propaganda, Peter Chernin suggested that Egyptian royalty from Africa were actually white Europeans. That's anti black racism that's being used to try and erase black Africans from their own culture and replace them with whites. Should Peter Chernin be paying $500,000 to black society to repair the damage he's done? In 2011, Ari Aster, a white Jew, produced, promoted, and released a movie called The Strange Things About the Johnsons. In this white supremacist propaganda piece, this white Jewish man wrote a story about a black father and his black son. In this story, a black father and his black son have a strained relationship because the black son can't stop having sex with his black father. The film shows the black son masturbating to a picture of his black father. Later, the black mother catches the black father and son engaging in fellatio sex. Then in another scene, the black son breaks into the bathroom while his black father is bathing. The black son then proceeds to rape his black father.
All right, shoes on, mister.
Wait, don't.
Jeez.
I'm cleaning in
I'm
here.
not. Would you like one?
Oh, maybe later. Thank you, honey.
Thank you.
Biscuits?
This sick, demonic, white, Jewish homosexual propaganda piece was a short film that Ari Aster created. It made the implication that family sexual abuse and homosexuality was a majority black issue and pinned these horrible types of acts on the black community. This obviously is untrue, but Ari Aster, thanks in part to this film, was given huge contracts and money by other white Jews. Ari Aster, despite being an anti-black racist, is now a high-paid filmmaker in an industry led by white Jews. Should Ari Aster and the other white supremacists who practice Judaism within that industry be forced to pay money to black society to repair the damage that they've done with this horrible film that they've made? According to the United States Department of Justice, there may be a correlation between rap music and the violence that is devastating black communities. So they've looked into this because the content being produced by these big record labels may be responsible for a lot of the issues that plague black people. Now, who owns the labels that produce this dangerous stuff? Who's making money from this? Well, many of these people are the white supremacists who practice Judaism. Men like Lucian Grange, who runs Universal Music Group, Michael Linton, who runs Warner Music Group, and men like David Joseph, who runs EMI Group. All three of these men are white Jews. They control who gets courted, who gets picked, who gets auditioned, who gets signed, and who gets produced, also who gets promoted, and who gets ultimately released. They also control the content that is created. Now you may say, well, that's not fair. The artists are actually black people themselves, and the head of the organization, they're not writing the music. Well, that's not exactly true. By controlling who and what gets released, the owners of the label are actually the content creators because they choose to only find and produce artists that talk about a handful of subjects. And if you think that an artist has free reign over what they say in their songs, then think again. The label obviously has final say over what is released because they don't want to run into any issues that may hurt them financially. So at the end of the day, the label itself controls what content is created and released. They control who gets produced and promoted to society. So all the negative stereotypes that you see in the media about black people, that's put there by the people who control the media, and most of them are white supremacists who practice Judaism. They just hire poorer blacks as actors to play the characters that they have themselves created. And the white supremacists who practice Judaism use those stereotypes to relay to the world what they think the image of black people should be. And to any of the people out there who use the excuse, well, the label owners just released the product. Black people are the ones making it. Well, then the same thing should apply to Kyrie Irving. He just posted a link. He didn't make the product that people are complaining about, so why go after Kyrie Irving? Don't fall for these weak tricks that these white supremacists play. Now, when it comes to these record label owners, should they be apologizing to the black community? Are they going to be paying money to the black community to right the wrongs created by the products that they release? In the 1930s, a white Jew by the name of William Levitt started building homes here in America. He's known as the father of suburbia. William Levitt decided that black people should not be allowed to buy his homes, and so he sold only to white families. Because of his racist tactics, black people have been denied access to the same wealth as white people. White people were able to purchase homes that appreciated in value over the years. They then passed the homes and the land down to their children. These white children inherit property that's worth substantially more than it was when their parents bought it. Let's take a quick look at this. So in the 1940s, a home in this area would cost around $8,000. And today, they're selling for around 600,000. That's more than a $500,000 in profit. So if I'm a white child, I'm born, I grow up, I move out, and I purchase my own home. Then my parents die, and I inherit the house that they initially bought. I've just received more than $500,000 that I can use to start my own business, invest, pay off old loans, purchase another vacation home, pass down to my children, fund a project. Hell, I can do a whole lot with over $500,000. Because of white supremacists like William Levitt, blacks were denied this same opportunity. Blacks had to either rent space from white people who owned property, or they had to purchase in some other undesirable area where the value would never appreciate at the same rate as the areas they were denied access to. This white supremacist who practiced Judaism purposely targeted the black community with this demonic animalistic racism. Should his children and grandchildren be apologizing and paying reparations to the black community from the money their racist white Jewish ancestor accumulated? You know, the way they're demanding that Kyrie Irving do? Now, that's just a few examples, a drop in the bucket. I could go on all day discussing the horrible things that the white supremacists who practice Judaism have done to not only the black community, but to people all over the globe. But I'll stop here for today. Now, all this time I've been using the phrase, the white supremacists who practice Judaism. I use that term for a reason. I know that not all whites who practice Judaism are white supremacists. That's why I worded it that way. I've worked with and for whites who practice Judaism, and I've loved my time with them. I had a coworker who used to watch my channel who was a white Jew, and I don't want him to think that I have any ill will towards him or his family. But I don't like bullies. I hate bullies, in fact, and the fact of the matter is this. There are white men and women who do horrible things in this world. They then hide behind the fact that they practice Judaism, and we're supposed to just ignore all the horrible things that they've done or are doing because they're Jewish? That's insanity. We can acknowledge the things that some Europeans experienced at the hands of other Europeans in the 1940s and still call out the things done by other white Jews. We shouldn't allow anyone to silence us. Now, I've normally avoided this subject because in my mind, white supremacists are white supremacists. Being a Jew or a Catholic or a Mormon or a Christian or a Scientologist or a Satanist or whatever is just a title. If you're a white supremacist, I don't care about what religion you follow. But too many white supremacist Jews have gone out of their way to destroy, leech off of, and erase black people. And now they have the gall to talk about someone posting a link to a video. Well, if they can use their platforms to continuously demonize black people, then I'm going to use my little platform to fight back. White Jews control a good portion of this planet, whether they want to admit it or not. The industries that they control, the money that they've created out of thin air, and the power that they wield is used to control almost everything that goes on in the Western world, and even some things that happen in the East. They've used that power to do things to the black community that are disgusting, from working to keep us systematically poor, to using their media to denigrate our image, to using us as pawns in their plan to keep everyone under their control. I recently made a video that YouTube tried to ban. In that video, I talked about why racism exists. And in that video, I made the point that in the type of system that we're in, the small percentage of people at the top always need someone at the bottom. The people at the bottom can be used for a whole host of things. You can use them to let the majority population blow off a little steam every now and then. You can use them to distract the majority population when the majority population starts to become too unruly. You can also use them to give the majority population another target other than yourself. You can use that bottom group as basically a divide and conquer option. If I'm at the top and the people beneath me start getting annoyed with me, well, I can divide them and pit them against each other. A good example of this is the opioid crisis. Purdue Pharma, the company behind the opioids that are devastating white America, is owned and run by the Sackler family. This white Jewish family used their money and power to take control of our government's federal agencies. Once they had that control, they rigged the system so that they could sell their drugs, destroy white America, and enrich themselves. If you want to take a look at how this corruption worked, watch the film Dope Sick. Now, you'd think white America would be furious about this and go on a rampage against this white Jewish family. But no, instead of focusing on the wealthy whites that control our government, white America can't stop focusing on how much they hate black people. Why do you think that is? It's because a centuries long propaganda campaign has spread the message that black people are inferior, that we're criminals, that we're rapists, that we're lazy, and that we're everything that's wrong with this country. So instead of white America looking at and focusing on the real enemy, wealthy whites, they spend much of their time focusing on and attacking blacks. And blacks spend their time defending themselves from white America, and no one is spending any time focusing on the wealthy whites that control us all because we're all focused on each other. And this is just one example. There are many more. Now, lastly, wealthy whites realize that they can use the people at the bottom to punish publicly when you want to make an example. And unfortunately, the people at the bottom right now are black people, and a lot of the people in that top small percentage are whites who practice Judaism. And this constant attack on blacks by white Jews is something I can't stand. According to, well, everyone, Kyrie Irving did a bad thing because he shared a link to a movie that said bad things about white Jews, and as a result, they're going to destroy him. But it made me think about two white productions being played on a white network. One is called My Unorthodox Life. In this show, a white woman who used to practice Judaism flees that lifestyle and establishes her independence as a free woman. The entire show is really all about her saying disparaging things about the Jewish lifestyle, their customs, and their way of treating women. She even spends most of the show working to make sure that her children aren't affected by that Jewish lifestyle.
I'm married to an amazing man. I have 4 incredible children. It's really hard to imagine that just a few years ago, I was living in an extreme ultra-Orthodox Jewish community, and then I just packed up and left. It takes time to deprogram yourself.
There's another show called One of Us. It's the same thing basically. 3 people who have fled the Jewish lifestyle are talking about how horrible life was in that community, how hard it was for them to get away, and how they now have to start from scratch to live a normal life after escaping what they describe as a bad life in this Jewish culture.
I lived 12 years with a spouse who beat me, who yelled at me, who broke me, and I never responded. I just had more babies. I am breaking a religious law if I press charges. I can't do it anymore.
If you don't show up in court, then you lose your children.
For years we've been retreating and retreating. We can no longer retreat.
Nobody leaves the Hasidic community unless they're willing to pay the price.
911, where's the emergency? There's people at the door banging down the door, and there's adult men outside, and I'm alone with the children. Do you know these people? They're my husband's family.
Neither show is fiction. Both are documenting real people's lives and experiences, and both shows are on Netflix. There's no huge campaign to demonize any of the people involved. No one is demanding that they pay money because they hurt people's feelings. No one is going after Netflix for releasing these shows. And My Orthodox Life is actually getting a second season soon. No one is complaining about Netflix and demanding that they pay money. No celebrities are attacking Netflix and calling for a boycott. I wonder why. I'd say it's because they're all white and all right. My anger comes from the racial double standard and the fact that the white supremacists who practice Judaism use their power, money, and control to harm us black people. I'm sick and tired of it, and I'm not just going to sit back and watch it happen any longer. If using a huge platform to say negative things about white Jews is so horribly wrong, then Netflix and all the people involved in the production of the 2 shows that I mentioned would be going through the same thing that Kyrie Irving is. But they're not, and it's because they're white. The white supremacists who practice Judaism are purposely attacking Kyrie Irving to make a point. Their point is this: black people, you only exist because us white Jews allow it. You better never use any platform that we give you to do anything other than what we allow. White Jews think of blacks as less than them, and they think we have to just sit back and take their disrespect and their abuse. Black people, you can either sit back like cowards and allow it, or you can take action and do something about it. I would say I'm hopeful, but after the NFL crushed Colin Kaepernick for just kneeling down, black people still went out of their way to support the NFL. So I guess asking for an NBA boycott would be like asking an elephant to fly. It's unfortunate, but the older I get, the more I have to come to the realization that blacks will never reach an equal level of living with everyone else. I would say it's because we're lazy and stupid and ignorant to what's really going on around us, but I can't. The difference between blacks and most other people around the globe is this: we're Africans. We come from a land where everything is given to us. We've never had the need to be ruthless, deceitful, and jealous because everything we needed was provided to us. Food was readily available. We lived in an environment where you could have fun doing almost anything. Sexual intercourse was readily available and easy to get, and it was great weather all the time. That was our experience. So black people can't really comprehend the mindset of the European, but it's something we better come to terms with real quick before they destroy the planet in their disgusting, sick, greedy quest to obtain everything. So in the meantime, what can we as black people do to fight back? Well, the white supremacists who practice Judaism has established a system that runs on money. All of the power they have comes from the money that they earn. Take yours away, and you remove some of their power. Also, if you're not relying on the products and services that they provide, you'll free yourself from their grip. Black people, change the way you shop. Take your money and support away from these big companies. All the chain stores that you see, the Walmarts, the Krogers, the Macy's, the McDonald's, the Home Goods, the Burger Kings, the Sephoras, the Nikes, the H&Ms, all of these big chain stores that you see in every city and every state, stop shopping at these places. Withdraw the money that these Christian, Jewish, Mormon, Baptist, left-wing, right-wing, Democrat, Republican, white supremacists use to control almost every facet of your lives. Withdraw the thing that they use against you. By continuously spending money with these businesses and pumping your cash into the accounts of these people, you're financing any and everything bad that happens to you. White supremacists aren't going to change how they treat you because why do they need to? They're on the top already and nothing is threatening their position. So why change something that's working so well for them? They won't. You have to make them change. Make them realize that you do have something they want and need. The only thing that they crave more than anything: money. So pull your money from these people. Stop shopping.